There has been a lot of misinformation in regards to the dolphinarium here in San Carlos and in the newspapers in Guaymas. This report is aimed to clear up those rumors and innuendo. Yesterday I was contacted by Alex Gomez Rubio, the owner of the Dolphins many of you have seen if you have visited the facility within the last 2 years. Many of you may know Alex since himself and his family have been a fixture here in San Carlos for almost 2 years. I myself had only met Alex once briefly about a month ago before I interviewed him today. Here is his story, as lightly edited as possible. They are very worried about the well-being of their animals, and anyone watching this should be too.
I'm Alejandro Gomez Rubio, and basically I have the dolphins that we rented to the Delfinario.
And you guys, when did you start renting dolphins here in Sonora?
We started renting a couple of years ago.
Okay. You guys came here because two dolphins, they had a problem with the other dolphins, didn't they? A couple of dolphins passed away.
Yeah, they had a contract with some people in Cancun. They brought 4 dolphins up, and then after the hurricane, I guess a bacteria hit them, and 2 of the dolphins died.
For some reason, the new Pan government didn't want to renew the contracts to keep you guys here. What was the deal with that?
Well, it was they said we were overpriced. And I can understand them; they can't pay for it. Well, somebody else underbidded us, so they went with them, and I was okay with that. When the dolphins came in, I was supposed to move mine out.
And yeah, okay.
And I have all the paperwork. We go, we work with Semarnat, Vida Silvestre, which they authorize where we can move the dolphins and where we can't. And it's pretty tight on the permits.
Okay, so what's this one?
Okay, this is the permit, Autorización de Traslado. With this one, it says that I can transport the dolphins from Centro Interacción de Marina San Carlos to Splash Parque Acuático, which is in León. That's where our next contract.
So that permit says you can go from here to there.
Exactly.
And that permit is issued by Semarnat.
By Semarnat,
Okay.
Semarnat Recursos Medio Ambiente y Recursos Naturales. This was issued February 2nd.
Okay, so February 2nd. It's not very old. Okay, now what's this next piece of paper?
Okay, this next piece of paper, they asked me to go ahead and present it to them. This is basically Cedes' birth certificate.
Okay.
Okay, here is, our reproduction at the other dolphinarium we had. This is when we reproduced them. Here are all the names of the dolphins that were born. And here's Cedes right there with their microchip.
Okay.
And this is from Vida Silvestre telling us that they've accepted it, that the dolphin has been registered. Okay, this is the permit that we brought the dolphins with.
Okay, so this is the one that got you guys from Cancun to here.
Exactly, the 24th of April, 2008, by Secretaría de Medio Ambiente y Recursos Naturales.
Okay.
Autorización de traslado, and this is where we brought them from Cozumel to San Carlos, Guaymas. And they came temporary. It wasn't, they can't be here
Definitively.
definitively.
So that is a temporary permit. How long is that permit good for? It doesn't expire, essentially?
It doesn't expire, but the dolphins can't be here. We have to go ahead, let's say the contract was for 20 months.
Okay.
Which was over the 27th of December.
And they didn't renew your contract?
They didn't renew the contract, and they haven't even advised me that the contract has expired. This one would be the collection permit for the time we collected chirris.
Okay.
This was the 20th of March of 2000. Basically, it tells the collection permit is when we go out collecting them. There's an observer on board when we collect them. That way he sees that there's no deaths and that the dolphins are treated humanely. We bring them in, and that's when we put the microchip in them. And so everything is 100% in order.
So it's a question of, you think that these guys are, for some reason, trying to kidnap your dolphins or steal them, or what's the deal? Is that the deal?
I think they are. They just want to keep them.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Who's in charge of the dolphinarium right now? Who is that?
Cedes.
Cedes.
Yeah.
Who's the guy who's in charge of? Who's the guy that you're dealing with that basically?
I don't even know him. He came in.
What's his name? Do you know?
His name is Oscar Telles.
Have they given you a reason for why? I mean, essentially, we're doing this interview because you've got all your paperwork in order, and for some reason, unbeknownst to you, will they tell you why they won't let you move these dolphins?
Okay, they were saying that they don't have the legal procedencia, which, okay, they didn't, when they called up Profepa, which is basically the police for for Semarnat to come and check the animals. So they came and they checked the animals, and they said, okay, the microchips are good, everything's good, but we need a legal procedencia. So when they asked them for the documentation, they gave them a copy of this, but not certified. So Profepa, they held the dolphins. They said, you can't move them until we get that piece of paper.
Certified.
Certified.
By a notary.
Right.
Okay. So now you've produced the documentation that they requested from you.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the excuse now for not moving the dolphins?
They haven't given it to me. I don't know what they're doing. After Profepa said, listen, you can move your animals, Semarnat says you can move your animals, and those are two federal agencies. We get to the aquarium one day, and they kick us out of the aquarium.
From what I understand, there's new dolphins that have been moved in to the dolphinarium, and now your dolphins are with these new dolphins. Talk to me about what are the problems with doing something like that?
It's a different species, because these dolphins, well, they're captive born, but it's a subspecies, a little bit smaller than the gilli. They're very active, and they came from different waters. They came from the Caribbean to here. Usually, even Semarnat says, anytime you have dolphins, and let's say you have the dolphin that lives here, and you bring in another dolphin, you have to quarantine them in separate pools.
So they're not quarantined. You only have one pool over there, right?
Well, we have a small holding pool. That's where my dolphins are, and then the big pool, and that's where their dolphins are. So my dolphins have been in there 12 days now.
And that's a very small area, isn't it?
It's a small area, and they're getting pretty stressed because they're confined. And then now they can't even, they have other people feeding them.
So they're not allowing you access to the dolphins?
I can't even get into the parking lot.
And they won't give you a reason why?
And they won't give me a reason. I asked them to give me a reason, a written reason, and they say it's got to come from the top. I don't know who the top is.
Well, they're in the small holding pool, which is, how big is that pool?
It's about 12 meters round.
And that must be rather stressful on those dolphins.
Well, it is. They're eating half their diet now. They're usually eating 15, 16 kilos. And yesterday I was told that they ate about 8 or 9. So they're going to start losing weight. And we know one of them is she's very sensitive.
Lalo mentioned to me yesterday that there was one day that the dolphins didn't want to eat at all.
Right. That's the second day we stuck them inside the pen.
And so I guess it's very dangerous. If a dolphin doesn't eat in captivity, essentially a dolphin dies, is it not?
Yeah. She'll go ahead and get dehydrated. And then, if she's got any kind of bacteria or anything in there, it's just going to take over. If her defenses go down, she'll get an infection, she'll get a pneumonia, anything that we can get, they can get when they're stressed.
I followed Alex out to the facility later that day. He hired a lawyer and a notary to simply document that they were indeed being denied access to their dolphins, which is clearly in violation of the contract that they signed with the state government. They say they have been accused of abandoning the animals by the new director. No one from inside the dolphinarium would come out to accept the paperwork, so they taped it to the gate. One of the last concerns Alex mentioned to me was the inadequate filtration of the water at the facility. With just 2 dolphins, it has never been an issue, but now there are 6 dolphins there.
6.
And now you've got 6 dolphins.
And now we got 6 dolphins, and they're filtering at half
capacity.
How long can this go on, do you think, before there's permanent damage done to these animals?
Well, right now she's been in there for about 10 days. So right now it's getting to be, pretty critical.
So they've been in this tiny little pool, the holding tank pool, for 10 days now. Would that be considered, cruel treatment to animals, would it not?
Well, that's against the law.
So essentially the owners of this, or whoever's in charge in there, do you really know who's in charge down there?
No, I don't have the slightest
idea. So whoever's in charge, do they really understand that they're violating the law by not allowing these dolphins into the larger pool?
Well, they're violating the law by not letting you take them out, so apparently if they break one law, they can break all of them.
And that's the thing, if you don't take care of them, they'll go like that. And that's why we're so stressed about this, because we know what can happen,